Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of
March 25th,
Nice
2013.
gentlemen.
I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Neil Patel.
I'm Ross Miller.
And we're back for you, and only for you, Joe.
If your name is Joe, you just got really
Joe,
happy.
This is your cast, the Joe cast. Anyhow, we're back on the Vergecast where we discuss the week in technology culture, internet culture, and culture, which is currently developing.
There you go.
It's always developing.
It's always developing. And we had a big week, interesting week, crazy
Right.
week, sexy week.
Yeah.
A week I would say drenched in sex
Yes.
Yes.
and love.
Yeah.
And also in other things unrelated to either of those.
Yeah.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, so
What did happen?
We had a very sexy week.
Because I was
Your week was way
celebrating.
different
I was celebrating the Lord smiting the Egyptian people with plagues. I had a Passover. Sorry, I was going to talk about this a little bit. Then we'll get into
Yeah,
the news.
no,
for it, no.
I had a
Passover
Passover. I was
happened this week
I was
for you.
back home for Passover for a Passover Seder, which is the traditional Passover dinner, which goes on for 15 hours straight. And I have to say, I really enjoy. There's a part of the Seder where you list off the plagues that were visited upon the houses of Egypt.
yeah.
Right.
It's like locusts, famine, death of the firstborn, of course, is the most important one.
Right.
Yeah, that's obvious.
There's
Blink feed.
blink feed, boom sound. You got a phone. You got a Windows phone that only can be upgraded to 7.8. Was one of the.
And at that point, the Pharaoh said,
Yeah, sexism on
no
the
more.
internet. You're a woman on the internet. It's one of the plagues that was visited. Yeah, but it's just an interesting thing to do. Like, it's a very morbid. I mean, a lot of the Jewish holidays are very. And by the way, I'm an atheist. I'm not really. I'm not a practicing Jew. I was raised this, so I go. My parents give me a big guilt trip if I don't participate. But it's just a morbid holiday full of horrible stories, and you can't eat bread.
Right.
It's not the best. I did get pretty drunk though.
Yeah, I think that's
On
really
the flip
the point.
side, drunk on we drink a type of alcohol called slivovitz, which is like a
All right.
family tradition. It's I think it's a plum brandy.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
I mean, that
It will
definitely
burn
sounds-
your insides.
That definitely sounds like you have to drink enough of it to forget that you've been drinking.
we also my father, my brother. Ow! I just got a terrible pain in my leg for no apparent reason.
It's slivovitz.
Yeah, it's finally catching up with me. That was incredible. This is pain as it's going on too. No, my father and my brother made horseradish,
Yeah.
Okay.
charain as it's known.
Yeah.
And I doctored it a little bit because it tasted really bad when they finished with it. I had to like spice it up a little bit, but it was
Spice up
extremely.
the horseradish.
Well, you put a little vinegar and salt in it to give it a little bit of flavor,
okay.
because otherwise it just like burns. It's just burning. It's just a burning sensation all throughout. I don't know what's going on with my right now. I'm gonna stretch it out. You know what? I was driving yesterday, so maybe
Yeah.
I did something.
Okay. How long?
Like
was
I don't know what.
How long was like the trip?
Like 6 hours,
Yeah.
6.5.
I would do it.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
Can
weird.
we get a shot of slivovitz?
Can you get me? I would love a shot of sliv, right? Sliv, as we call it.
A sliv.
Anyhow, this is totally unrelated to anything that we're supposed to
Actually,
talk
being
about.
drunk is related to our first story.
It is.
Let's do it.
Or potentially related.
I would say so.
So I would say the news of the week, without question,
Yeah.
was T-Mobile's relaunch of itself.
Bullshit.
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 And nothing about the news of its relaunch was actually news.
Yeah.
They announced all the pricing plans were available. The iPhone 5 is like great, another carrier with the iPhone 5.
Yeah.
They'd said a bunch of this stuff at CES. What was news about it was their incredibly aggressive like marketing around it, and then the CEO, the new CEO of T-Mobile, John Legere,
Oh, it's Legere?
who
Very sexy.
came onto stage and just began ranting about the wireless industry, and actually said at one point, "We have to stop the bullshit."
Yeah. He said
he
he's a
swore
crock.
within the first minute
he was
of being on
swearing. He
stage.
swore a lot. And he said that the way how carriers are nice to you is a crock of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was very. I was
very raw.
I was very raw. I was very kind of unprecedented in this industry.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a supercut.
let's run a supercut.
Yeah, we have a supercut of this. Take a look at what he was up to on stage. Any second.
There we go.
We're unleashing everything. We're going to talk about this today, but please stop the bullshit. Sorry, I promised myself I wasn't going to swear today. Elizabeth, wherever you are, your father didn't mean that. I've been at this business for about 33 years, but I don't have wireless industry experience. And after a while, I went home and I said to myself, holy shit, I don't have wireless industry experience. What am I going to do? And it suddenly dawned on me. There's not a goddamn person in the world besides a wireless industry person that would understand why the hell this mess works this way. And the worst fear of the wireless industry is that somebody from outside Oz comes in and starts looking at their industry. I've already told you about the spaceship and the aliens coming in. It doesn't make sense. Unbelievable high prices. How the hell can that cost that much unless you're going to drive it? I mean, come on, that nasty guy on the end, that's Sprint, and you got to see that. The day you go in that store, they love you. It's like, oh, you got to have this phone. We're going to be so good to you. Here's a free T-shirt, some balloons. By the way, you need a back rub. Maybe that's just me. You pay so much for your phones, it's incredible. Everybody's blogging, holy crap, I can't believe he just said that. Oh, he said shit. That's how I lost the family pool. I bet he'd only swear 5 times.
So that was the thing.
It was very spirited, very good stuff. Unfortunately, here's the thing. And we did some math, and I did some personal math, because I was like, I'm fired up.
Yeah.
They got LTE. They're expanding their network. They have these new pricing plans. They're selling the iPhone for $100. They're selling the one, which I'm using, for $100. This is great. I'm switching.
Yeah.
And then I went and I did some math, and it's actually would be more expensive for me to switch to.
Because you have a family plan.
No, I have a single guy
really?
plan.
Oh,
so you
regular, cool bachelor plan.
For me, it's there's 4 people on my family plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Like multiple devices.
No, I don't.
Like iPads and all kinds of stuff.
No,
and
but if you get an iPhone, it's like, the unlimited plan is $70.
Yeah.
Plus 20 for having an iPhone.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Plus
their
20
2-year plan now.
Plus 20 for having their 4G
Right,
service.
Here's the thing. That plus 20 for having the iPhone, that's the big thing that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Is they're saying we're no longer just pricing in the subsidy for the phone into the price of the plan, right? Because AT&T, you pay however much per month for the service.
Yeah.
And there's a subsidy built into that always.
Okay.
Right.
T-Mobile's saying you can either pay the $20 a month for us to subsidize your phone, or you can not pay it. And if you don't pay it,
Yeah, but then the phone's $600.
well, right. But if you already have a phone,
Okay, sure.
right, or if you get to the end of 2 years
Yeah.
and you're all the way paid off, or you're like you find $100
Okay,
in the
fine.
street,
If you take
pay
out the
ahead.
20, you're about the same as Verizon and
right. So they're charting this
AT&T.
middle ground, which
But
is
most people come and don't have a phone.
Right.
They're not bringing a phone.
Yeah,
They're
so
like, I want to get new service and I need a new phone.
Right. I think what T-Mobile's here is like they're not trying to be cheaper. They're calling themselves cheaper because everyone does that. But
Well, they already are. They've
they
always been cheaper.
Well,
Right.
yes and no. It's pretty close though. I mean, it's
Right.
just more
It's close.
transparent.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm paying for. Like we're looking at this
what's
yesterday.
what's the deal? So hold on. So I get an iPhone.
Right.
I pay $100 for the phone up front. I'm paying the $20 subsidy fee.
Yes.
I'm paying the $70 unlimited everything.
Right.
I'm paying the other $20. There's another $20 for like their 4G service.
for their hotspot.
Yeah. No.
No.
Oh, that's right.
No.
For the hotspot.
That's for the hotspot.
For 4 gigs of hotspot, which is cheaper than what you pay. But somehow it still worked out to more money for me because I don't need unlimited minutes and unlimited messages. That's
No.
the trick.
Okay.
What I really want is like 900 minutes and 1,000 messages because I'm not ever going to use them.
Right.
But they don't do that. So it ends up being more expensive because you think you're getting more. But long and short is, I'm on 2 months, I'm on T-Mobile, I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want this anymore. What happens?
You don't have a contract, so that ends.
Yeah.
And then you have to give your phone back to them.
Okay.
And they give you a fair market credit for it, which they refuse to explain how that's going to work.
Right.
And you're on the hook for whatever the difference is.
But that credit has to go to T-Mobile.
You do give the phone back to them?
Yep.
And then you have to pay for the phone?
You have to pay for whatever the difference between the remaining. In the end, you pay $579 for the phone, right? It's $100
So,
up
wait,
front.
so you're saying
and then
after
20
2
bucks
months,
times 24.
I get my iPhone. After 2 months, I'm like, I hate this. I'm out of here.
Right.
I say, you can have the phone back.
Yep.
They're like, give me $500.
Well, no.
No. You'll get.
They'll give you some credit, which they're calling a fair market value credit.
Uh-huh.
So that's a mystery amount.
To what? For what credit of what?
For like your phone.
Yeah, but the phone is you only paid
But
$80
you've given
for it.
back. But you're giving them the property back, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then you
But
only
you only-
owe
but
them.
yeah.
You only owe them what they're saying the difference between the market value of the phone is from the $500 that you owe them.
But they're giving you money, is what you're saying.
No, you're just paying them less money.
You're giving them some money.
Yes.
Right.
So you're paying them $400 instead of $600.
Yeah, essentially, you're leasing the phone.
But if you
essentially.
give them the phone back,
Yeah.
you still have to pay it off.
You have to pay about some amount, but they're not clear.
Well, that doesn't sound like a great deal to me. That doesn't sound like you're getting out scot-free.
You have to pay for the amount that you've used the phone, right? I mean, like the phone's value has decreased.
I guess so.
Right. It's
I don't
true.
know. I thought
mean,
T-Mobile was different. So they're going to let me have a phone and do whatever I wanted with it, and then
well,
give
so
it
the
back and not
ultimate
have to pay
goal here,
anything.
but I think this is interesting because the ultimate goal here is that you buy a phone the way you buy a laptop.
Yeah, you decouple.
You decouple.
Right.
it,
You want to decouple
and-
the phone purchase from the service purchase.
Right. And
now I can take this phone.
They can't do that straight away, right? Because they can't say our phones cost $579.
Right.
That they would suicide.
But I could take
So
this
they have to provide some sort of path.
They want people like me who have a one now. I'm like, I'm getting off AT&T. I hate the
Right.
service.
And then, the iPhone, the iPhones are going to work across AT&T and T-Mobile, assuming you can get it unlocked. But
Yeah.
like, if you have an iPhone and AT&T and you get it unlocked and you go use it on T-Mobile, they're like scrambling to make part of the network compatible with AT&T's 4G and LTE.
Yeah.
So there's
It's
some
gonna be
stuff
but
there.
when do we see like a viable new network from T-Mobile? Like how far off? I feel like we're
they're
dealing
in
with end of.
7
I feel like we're like
markets
end of
LTE right now.
2014. Maybe you have a T-Mobile network that can compete.
Right. So what they're saying is it's 100 million customers that will have LTE access, or at least like 100 million citizens in the US that could have it by first half of the year, 200 million by the end of the year.
I mean, here's the thing. I have AT&T LTE. Their coverage is pretty bad.
It's bad.
You go a few seconds outside of any major metropolitan area.
I was outside. It was 10 minutes in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
I walked 10 minutes away from the office to run an errand today, and I had 4G the whole way. And it's like,
You mean 4G, fake 4G?
Yeah, HSD.
Yeah, no, I mean,
HSD.
in my neighborhood, I get 4G when I'm going over the bridge and stuff. It's just like, it's gone.
Yeah.
And even in a little bit further out into the neighborhood, it's gone. So in Verizon is amazing. I mean, Verizon's network is their penetration is amazing.
Right.
So T-Mobile, I feel like, is so far off.
They
can say 100 million, but they mean like 100 million people who might drive through a certain area.
Well,
like if
pretty
cars
much.
come near
the big
here.
market. So
Yeah.
I mean, look, they've got a long ways to go. I think what's really interesting about this whole story from the beginning is not there's no way for them to win now.
Right.
But I think Lagier has like put himself on the map. Like he's famous now. Like,
Yeah.
He stood on stage and called all of his competitors. He literally called bullshit on all of his competitors.
I think
right?
the only
Yeah.
problem is that he didn't back it up with really any kind of astounding saving. I think what would have been amazing is he said, like, look, you're going to save $1,000 over 2 years, but you're not. In some cases, you might, but overall, the savings are like a couple $100.
Well, I think if you're the sort of person who wants a new phone every year, and I think a lot of people listening to this podcast probably want to buy a new phone every year, I think that there is some savings built in there for you because you get to give the phone back, and you don't have to pay the $700 for the off contract.
That's
iPhone.
true.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
I think
but you have to
there's
have
something-
T-Mobile service.
You have to deal with T-Mobile.
I mean, I don't know anybody who's like, I see people all the time tweeting me, T-Mobile's so great, I love it, it's awesome in my area. But all of the people that I know, people who live in New York, people who are in our industry, I've never heard anybody really say anything effusive about T-Mobile.
It's only people who work for Google because they put out the Nexus 4.
Yeah, but I feel like
that,
on the
has
Google campus, I feel like on all the
so you're not paying $20 per month anymore.
Yeah.
right, and I
Huge
feel like
source
on the
for
Google
Google.
campus they've got just like towers everywhere, and they're just going for it.
and it's like literally a bubble.
Yeah, no, I talked to
Like, they
that's
actually
what-
constructed
no,
a
I
bubble
talked
that,
I
like,
talked to people at
enhances.
Google
The
when they
Google
released the
stare.
Nexus 4, and it was like.
They're like, oh, it's really fast.
They're like, what are you
Yeah, I
talking
was
about? It's
there.
great. I get 21 down. It's like, yeah, on the Google campus, which is like almost literally a bubble.
Yeah,
You know,
a
in the
spaceship.
real world, it's like 1.
yeah.
Or
No, it's
2.
terrible. I mean, like they brag about this 42 down, but it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen anything
But I think it's a baby step. I'm like, this is what Google has been trying to do with the Nexus program. They've utterly failed to do it because they're not a carrier.
The trick
it makes sense why
yeah.
Google couldn't do it and T-Mobile can do it. But the idea that you will buy a phone and the age of the custom high-end phone is like kind of over, right? It's no longer
Well,
the AT&T Captivate,
yeah.
the Verizon Fascinate. It's just the GS4.
Well, don't
and
tell
all the
that to
carriers.
AT&T and Verizon, whose phones are littered with AT&T and Verizon
Well,
crap.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's still
are
the
made
same
only
phone.
for AT&T and Verizon,
Right.
like the Droid DNA.
Well, yeah, but that has to come to an end. Like,
Does it? Not if Verizon and AT&T stay on top.
I mean, but the phones are the same. The GS4 is the same. The iPhone is obviously the same.
Well, it'll have
It's the
special
same, but like
software.
you can't buy
the One is the same everywhere except for Verizon.
Of course.
Well,
But, like-
and let's define like
Which
the
is
same.
sad.
Like the JS4 is going to have different radios for the Verizon model. You won't be able to take it to AT&T.
Right, but this age of like you can only get certain phones on certain carriers, at least from the perspective of the average consumer, you get to it's already been decoupled a little.
Well, I
bit.
mean, what we need to do is just come up with, real prices for phones and just say this is what it's going to be.
But so I think that
Consumers won't buy. They're not.
This is
gonna,
the first
If you
step,
get
right?
if you get an iPhone for free or $99, you're not going to buy an iPhone for $500.
Right.
You're always going to take the. You look. At least in this country, I can't speak to everywhere else, but I think this is a country that loves credit.
Right.
We love being on credit. We love getting buy now, pay later.
Right.
I just signed up for this PayPal service. It's called Pay Later or something. It's called like Pay It Later. It's like the whole idea is like you don't have to pay for it now.
Yeah.
We got you covered.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I didn't have to sign up for it. I just wanted to not
just wanted-
pay now.
you just-
I wanted to not give anybody
just want-
money
you
at
just
this
like
moment.
paying
I
at a
wanted to
different
put it
time.
It's like a kind of a procrastination thing.
I like long walks on the beach.
Yeah.
I love ice cream, and I love paying at a
I love
different
paying
time.
later.
Yeah.
Paying later. That's my thing.
All right. Then.
But I just think like until people break themselves of that habit,
Yeah.
But it's also tough. It's a lot of money. $500
So-
bucks for a
here's
phone
the
is a
thing,
ton of money.
If you actually get people to pay, like you create a market, and
Yeah.
once you create a market, prices
Well, if
go
you
down.
can do
So getting
the
consumers to
Nexus
act,
4 at $250, is that what it is? The 8 gig?
$279, something like
no,
that.
the 8 gig is $250. I think.
$250?
Yeah, I think it's
$249.
$250.
Wait, somebody just say something? Yeah, no, $300. The 8
Well,
is
I have
300.
a
I think it's
magical computer in front of me.
$249. My
Hold on.
high, maybe
But
it
Brandon
is 300.
Our
I think it's
producer's
$299.
whispering in our ear.
It's $299.
It's
That's right.
$299.
Okay.
But still, yeah, $300 for a
Still,
phone.
it's way cheaper than a $600 or $700 phone.
Right,
Which is
but
if you
it's
look at Verizon,
upfront.
the Droid DNA is
All
it's like
Verizon's
$700 if
They're
you
always
buy it off
$700
contract. Yeah,
But here's the thing with that is you have to get consumers to act in their own self-interest. You have to
Right.
basically trick them into doing it. And AT&T and Verizon are really good at tricking you into acting against your interest.
Yeah, and they-
by saying the phone is free, just sign this 2-year contract, and we've baked in these huge subsidies.
I'm always wondering why people don't act in their own self-interest. Like when people vote for Republicans.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
Oh, no.
I think why are you doing this to
Really?
yourself? Why do you want to have a worse
Do you
time?
want to just say Windows is poison right now?
No, I
And
love,
just, like, get
I
this
love
over with?
Windows. I love Windows.
Wow.
No, I'm
Poison.
just saying that there are a lot of, let's just say across the political landscape, there are many
Yeah.
politicians, Democrat and Republican, who will, people are like, I'm voting for this guy because, this weird thing that they really
this
want to
one
push.
issue, right.
And it's like, that issue is actually really bad for you. And they're like, I don't care.
Right.
He said it's good, so I'm going to
No, so I mean, this is basically T-Mobile trying to. I'm coming back.
Yes,
I'm
please
coming
do.
way
You don't
back.
want to talk about
let's do
my,
that.
No.
my deep hatred for all Republicans?
But so if you look at
Just keep
the
it simple.
fantasy
Don't look.
land,
I'm kidding. Listen, I love all people in America. All Americans. Outside of America, get out of my face. Not interested.
Yeah.
Sorry, I played BioShock Infinite like for hours last night.
Don't spoil it. Do not.
Let's just say it's about America
Yeah.
and only America.
We're doing no, I won't
Anyway.
spoil it.
It's definitely
Anyway,
on my mind from that game, though.
yeah.
Okay.
The state of America.
I have the first BioShock that I bought
We're so mad
for like
right now.
$10 on Amazon. I still haven't played it.
You've not played the
It's
original
so good.
BioShock? It's
Dude,
only
I
one of
have
the
a
greatest.
stack-
It's only one of the
I have
greatest
a
video
stack
games of all
video
time.
games that I'm meant to play, and I haven't played any of them. Anyway,
It is so good. You should play it.
Yes.
if you go like, so we have Top Shelf coming up after the show, right?
Just desperately
And
trying to pull out of this
yesterday
Republican
I went
nosedive.
around, wandering around New York, talking to people about their cell plans for Top Shelf, and I ran into one guy who's from London. I was like, "How much do you pay for your service?" And I was like, "Would you switch for cheaper service?" He's like, "Yeah, I pay $10 a month for my cell service.
What?
It's unlimited everything."
Hey, London is like the size
Hey,
of
but that-
Rhode Island.
Wait,
Well,
what
London's the
care?
size of Rhode Island, but it's
True.
because they buy the service separately from the phone.
Actually, the whole
He also had a-
whole
he-
of
he
England
also
is
had
like
a-
the size of Rhode Island.
He had a Lumia 920.
I told you how I
looked
feel
awesome.
about it.
Really?
He's like, I love this phone. It's totally sold out all through the UK. Which is crazy.
Well, I guess Microsoft was right.
Well,
selling phones.
But see, that's actually interesting, right? I mean, that's part of this is Microsoft would have an easier time
I mean,
competing
you found
in the
somebody
market.
with a Lumia. That's really interesting.
I mean, it was really easy to find him. It was like bright blue. I was like, that guy. And like, we ran
He had a
towards
blue.
him.
He had a blue one.
Yeah.
From England.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought that was like kind of an AT&T thing.
Yeah, it was blue. It was awesome. Like literally, we saw him. Like all of us, Jordan and Billy and I were like walking around. And we're like that one.
So,
and, like, we like
well,
charged
here's
him.
what I wonder: like, how much did he pay for that Lumia?
He paid full price, but like
Up
But
front.
what is that? 450, 500? I mean, in pounds, I don't know.
right.
It's
But so
like
there's a
$2
competition for
£2.
those devices as well. So like Carphone Warehouse in the UK sells it cheaper than like Tesco.
That's
and, like, They have
wonderful.
like
I love
pricing
that.
competition
Right.
on the phone.
You mean
and
like-
because
like,
the carriers are in pricing competition against each other because people can just swap the
You mean like
devices.
TVs and computers?
You mean like every other product?
Yeah, like
that you
everything
buy.
that we
Yes.
buy, like cars, for instance.
Right, and so
like you
this
can
is
get a
like-
car at from a different price from a different dealer.
Right.
For a
And
different
so,
price from a different dealer.
Like everything else. But it's funny because the cell carrier, I mean, we've been ranting about this forever. They've completely insulated themselves from this real market.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
I mean, all the FCC needs to do is just smash this whole thing. Just say like, you can't do
Dude,
this anymore.
Julius is out, man.
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
the new
Who's
guy-
going to step in to fix it?
I don't know.
Some lobbyist, some Verizon. No, because that's who it's going to be.
I mean, I would like
it's
it
gonna
to
be
be-
former Verizon
Have you heard
lobbyist.
of Chris Ziegler?
Yeah, Chris Ziegler
One of the
for
only humans
Chris Ziegler
followed
for-
by the FCC Twitter
Chris
account.
Ziegler for FCC chair. I would support that, and I believe though his background is riddled with drug abuse. I think that overall he would be a great candidate.
Just don't ask him about that incident in like 1996.
Don't ask
It'll be
about
okay.
96
No,
at
I
all.
got-
The whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
He won't
But
remember
I think-
anyway.
I do think the T-Mobile thing is a good sign.
It's a baby
And we
step.
should wrap this up. But I think the T-Mobile thing is a good sign. To recap, it's good. It could be better, but I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't have a problem with Republicans, although I do have a problem with some of their policies. The policies of the Republican Party, and I love all Americans. And I hate everybody who's not an American. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so you have a choice of your next topic.
Yes. Next
Yes.
topic.
You can either talk about the Wachowskis doing Netflix's next new series, or you can talk about some crazy dystopian drone stuff.
Let's do Wachowskis.
Okay.
This is all Ross.
Right. So the story as it is, actually about 6 months ago, Wachowskis and the Babylon 5 creator J. Michael
Does everybody,
Straczynski,
can we set the stage in case you don't know who the Wachowskis are? They directed The Matrix.
they made The Matrix.
And then they made the other Matrix movies.
Yeah.
And then they
Pretend-
did some other
just act
stuff.
And then
like,
that
just,
Speed Racer thing.
just act like they just made The Matrix,
Yeah.
okay?
Right. The Matrix 1 creators are doing their second movie ever.
This is it. They're
Yes.
they're finally
It's a
following
TV
up
show.
the first they're finally following up the only Matrix movie
Yes.
with a project with Netflix.
With a 10-episode series called Sense 8. We have no idea what it's about. All 10 episodes are going to come out at
It's
once.
probably about a new HTC interface.
That'd be
It's
amazing.
about an HTC interface like way in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
In like 4 years.
The clock is back.
Yeah.
So we heard
But
about
it's
it.
digital and analog. You can turn it around. You can see the insides of the clock.
Don't blink feed.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's good.
There you go.
Sense 8, brought to you by HTC.
So 6 months ago, they were shopping around for like TV networks. That's how the story goes.
Yeah.
They settled not on TV. They settled on Netflix. So it's coming out next year at some point. All 10 episodes, of course, at once. And this is, I think it's gonna be 9th or 10th Netflix original series by the time it comes out.
So they've got
They did.
House of Cards.
Well, don't forget they started with Lilyhammer.
Lilyhammer, which is not good. I watched a little bit of it. I mean, it was okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to keep watching it. House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Arrested Development.
Before that, Eli Roth's Hemlock Grove that comes out next month.
Oh yeah, Hemlock Grove, which is based on a book, which is written and it takes place in. Oh, is this a trailer for it? This is Hemlock Grove.
This is.
So this is actually based on a book written by I think a guy from Pittsburgh or who went to school in Pittsburgh, and it takes place outside of Pittsburgh.
So this is what Pittsburgh's like. I've never been.
Yeah, this is
I can only
exactly what
assume.
Pittsburgh is like
Okay.
right here.
Yeah.
This is it.
By the way, that is definitely what Pittsburgh is like.
Right here.
A
It's all-
formerly
this is
beautiful
all-
woman
This
peeling off
looks
her
amazing.
wig.
My only hesitation is from director Eli Roth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right, y'all?
It also seems like just like an ultra violent like
Nothing wrong with
werewolf
that.
Twilight.
It's not Twilight, man. Trust me.
All right. I mean,
Whoa.
I'll take your word for it. I'll see it. It's on
This
Netflix.
makes me want to read the book now. I started reading. I bought the book to read, and then Laura took it and read it instead of me.
But you know, this is the thing that like Reed Hastings has been talking about. The Netflix CEO.
Definitely nudity here in this trailer.
That was just a butt.
Yeah.
A butt is nudity.
I think.
By
But is,
my
wait, wait, wait.
puritanical standards.
Hold on.
And Even the word butt is nudity.
You remember like NYPD Blue started doing butts. Back
Remember
2
that?
decades
Remember
ago.
that?
Yeah.
Remember when NYPD started doing butts?
Yeah, it was a big
Yes.
deal.
All right,
Big
cool.
deal.
Cool,
Viewer
man.
discretion advised. You're going to see David Crusoe's butt. And
Was
it's
it
not,
wait,
and it's-
was
yes.
it Crusoe's butt or Jimmy
Yeah,
Smith's
Crusoe,
butt?
No.
Okay.
Both their butts.
Okay.
Also, who was his partner, like the bigger guy?
I don't remember.
His butt was also Sipowicz was the character's name. His butt was all over.
Sipowicz butt. Okay.
All right.
They're like, this Thursday, Sipowitz's ass will
Right.
be all over your TV.
So what we're really admitting to here is that we barely watched NYPD Blue.
I've seen a lot of NYPD.
Really? I was not a. Maybe it was the butts.
You
I
missed
only
it.
remember the butt story. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Anyhow,
let's try.
So
Let's-
Hemlock Grove.
Let's do our best.
Hemlock Grove, Arrested Development's in May.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of like animated series, science fiction, comedies that are coming out.
This is a huge deal.
It's like there are 7 shows happening in 2013.
So the Wachowskis said, we're not going to take this to a network. We're not going to take it to HBO or Showtime.
They haven't talked about that directly. It's just like 6 months ago.
But they're doing
we knew
it
they
with
were.
Netflix.
They're doing it with
That's the
Netflix,
long and short of it.
exclusive.
Yeah. So we don't know anything about it.
Other than it's
Is
a
this
science
the
fiction.
entire story?
That's pretty much the entire
This is
story.
a horrible topic. We can't say anything about it.
No, maybe like, it does show like Netflix still attracting huge talent.
Well,
and making
they
these
made
exclusives.
The Matrix and then the other 2 Matrixes and then Speed Racer and then something else.
No, they just made the Matrix.
Oh. Didn't they do? They did. They were co-directors of
Cloud Atlas.
Cloud Atlas.
Yes.
A great hit. Another successful product. No, but I'm just saying, like
Right.
they kind of like
No, they didn't.
Well, so
wanna-
did you watch all of House of Cards?
not yet.
Okay.
Is it good?
I just finished it.
Is it amazing?
It's really good.
Did it blow your mind? Don't
I
ruin
think
it.
it's
No
really good.
spoilers.
No
no
spoilers.
spoilers.
No spoilers.
I will say that it was very strange to watch that much of a show that tried so hard in the beginning to not be a TV show.
Yeah.
And then so thoroughly turned into a TV show.
It's a
at the
TV
end.
show.
Right.
But like the first 3 episodes are like, this is not a TV show.
So I think that's why
I'm going to watch a really long
I
movie.
had trouble watching it. So I hear the first couple of episodes are very slow, and then it kind of picks up. Into more
Well,
of
a little bit.
yeah.
I mean, it's like 9 episodes of exposition.
Okay, please
No,
do not spoil
not
this
spoiling.
for me.
Not spoiling.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I marathoned that thing in 3 days,
Yeah.
afraid someone's going to spoil it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who's seen it, who's not.
I'll tell you who was spoiling it for me. I had to stop following her. Was Retta.
Really?
Yeah, from Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
She was like
Unforgettable.
spoilers all over the place. I'm like, Retta, please.
Yeah.
I started to follow you because I thought we'd have something special
Right.
going on Twitter, and now you're ruining House of Cards for me.
Well, this was like, so this is the thing, I think Netflix has a problem. It's like the only thing you can say about House of Cards is like, have you seen House of Cards yet?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you
that's
don't know. Like
no, Netflix is like, this is everybody has to watch. Everybody alive has to watch House of Cards, so that there can be no spoilers.
Right.
I mean, that's Twitter just needs like a spoiler alert button.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like the blackout text.
Yeah, but it needs to be like, I'm going to do a spoiler, so now your text won't be visible. You'll say, I got to click on this to see it.
Right.
I also found myself wondering why House of Cards has intro credits, because it's like, I'm watching all of these.
Maybe you're going to
Why do I need to watch this
Maybe you're going to
again?
revisit an episode. Maybe they'll syndicate it.
Maybe
Maybe they'll
they'll
put it
come
on
back later.
television. You
That
don't
would
know.
be amazing.
No,
Wow.
it's
TV.
totally possible that somebody would want to pick it up to for syndication. I mean, that's not the craziest idea, is it?
It's kind of the craziest. I mean, that completely goes against Netflix's model.
I mean, in 5 years, somebody might say 2 years.
They can't staple the credits on then? Why do I got to watch them now? Like, the whole
know.
point is that you binge watch the show.
I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. You're right. I don't have a good answer for
It's
this.
like, why
for
is
the
it
first time ever, I don't
The
have an
music
answer.
is really good. I
You
enjoy
want-
listening
Should we
to
talk
music.
about drones?
Let's talk about drones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you hear Bloomberg's quote from over the weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Get used to it.
Get
Says
used to it.
Mayor
yeah.
Bloomberg.
Just very just
Yeah, everybody-
lamenting.
I gotta say, I like Bloomberg basically, but I'm not sold on his get used to it
Here's
angle.
some of these quotes. We ran the piece. What's the difference? And it's funny because you can tell Bloomberg doesn't quite know what he's talking about.
I can't wait.
Just
A
listen to this
politician
first
doesn't
one.
understand technology. That seems unusual.
What's the difference whether the drone is up in the air or on the building? By which he presumably means a camera is on the building, not a drone that is like
One is-
it's the Spider-Man of drones.
one can chase you down an alley. One can follow you to your house.
We're going into a different world, uncharted. You can't keep the tide from coming in. The tide, by the way, being pervasive surveillance by the state.
can't
Not just like an army of drones
Right.
just like going through traffic.
Can't
It's
stop.
not a question of whether it's good or bad. I just don't see how you can stop them.
No, really? That's a great. By the way, you want your leaders to say, it may be terrible, but there's really nothing I can do about it. So just let it happen to you.
That's one of those like great like action movie taglines. It's not a question of whether it's good or bad. We just don't
and
know.
it-
Just
actually,
It's like
he actually followed up the what's the difference whether the drone is up in the air or on the building with.
Yeah.
I mean, intellectually, I have trouble making that distinction. Which is, he's like, I can't. I don't even want to think about this.
I mean, I get it. His point is, he's saying, look, there's CCTVs, which, by the way, are not.
They're not owned by the state.
They're not owned by
right?
the city. They're not monitored in a vast network of a collected network of. Okay, but hold on. So I think what he's saying is like, look, CCTV cameras are watching you. These things will be watching you.
Private eyes.
yeah.
Private eyes are watching you. I'm not.
They're watching your every move?
I'm not doing it.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the line either.
That's the next one.
It's,
Thank you.
It's what is it?
They're watching your every
I don't
move.
think it's watching your every move. I think it's like making your every move or taking your every move. It's not they're watching.
Well, the next one
watching.
after that is definitely private eyes.
Yes, that's for sure. That's 100% right. But I think he's basically like stupidly. They see your every move.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yes, very helpful.
Brendan's like,
Was that
should I
wasn't
do it?
That
Brendan or
wasn't
John?
Brendan.
I
That
think it was
wasn't
John.
Brendan.
Was that
It's
Will?
So, Will, okay.
Nice.
Someone on our production staff really knows Hall & Oates.
But he's saying, look, there are cameras on you. Get used to it. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I can get used to it.
Right.
But you know, I'm going to get less used to the camera that flies through the air and can follow me everywhere than I am to the one that's stationary on a building.
Yeah.
Like, or in a business. I get that. Like I'm not loving it, but I also think that they're very helpful. I mean, there's no question that CCTVs
Well, so in New York,
they harm slightly in terms of our privacy, but they do tend to be very effective when a bank gets robbed and they're trying to identify
Well, so here's the
somebody.
thing. So in New York, and this might have explained.
Of course, Josh Kopstein would definitely argue that it's
Well, so
okay
he-
to rob banks. So
So in New York, the police department runs a system called the Domain Awareness System.
Sounds-
Which
sounds
definitely sounds
innocuous.
creepy. Which is 3,000 cameras on the street in Manhattan.
yeah.
So they already have.
Are they
a lot of-
networked?
Yeah.
I mean, they're watching.
the
There's there a
domain
room somewhere
awareness
that's like
system.
one of the lost bunkers with the
Yeah.
all the cameras and this switch.
There's
switches.
just a guy with a joystick,
and they have that thing.
and there's one guy just like, "Do I say enhance now?
Yeah.
Enhance." He's like just ready at all times.
But he has an enhance button.
And they can
He's
read
just talking to
license
himself.
plates. I mean, there's all kinds of. I mean, we've been running stories after stories on this about like. There's the Argus global awareness system that can like track you up to 6 inches on the ground from the sky.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, we just hit this LiDAR system, the City Scan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is taking laser mappings of a city.
Yeah.
And then knowing if anything's out of 2 centimeters out of place.
Yeah.
Which is definitely the end times.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So I think the idea that the mayor of New York is like, screw it, it's over. There's nothing you can do about it is a little bit terrifying.
No, it's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad. I mean, I think, and to Josh's point about the thing that you should read it. Josh Kopstein wrote a piece today published a piece today that is Mayor Bloomberg's, what is the title? Mayor Bloomberg's vision of a drone-filled city doesn't fly, or
Right.
why
Yeah.
it doesn't fly. And it's really good. It kind of makes this argument. You know, he wrote this piece a while ago that's it's not okay for Congress to not know how the internet works. And this is like, to me, very much in the same. It's like we need smarter politicians. Like I'm sorry, but you're supposed to be the smartest guys in the room. You're supposed to be the most informed guys in the room. Like it shouldn't be up to other people to have to explain this stuff to you. You're supposed to go like, I need to know this issue because it affects the people in my city or in my state or in my country, and I'm going to learn about it. And I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to be able to
Right.
speak about it intelligently. And if you can't do that, if you're like that, CCTV and drone, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
If that's your attitude, it's time for a new mayor.
It's-
And that
it's-
mayor should be young, maybe have a beard. I'm thinking glasses, tall, maybe a Y on the end of his name,
Yeah.
last
All right.
name. I'm running for mayor. Vote for me. Whatever
I mean,
year,
it'd be
whatever
kind of
year you
amazing if
can.
the next phase of the Verge is you as the mayor. and
Whatever
Chris,
year
Chris is
the mayor
FCC
can be
chief.
elected in New York, that's the year I'm running next.
I will say House of Cards has made me want to run for Congress in a really weird way.
I think he'd be great in Congress.
Yeah, because I would definitely kill that dude for nothing.
Hey, did you just spoil something?
He didn't spoil anything.
No.
Also, I don't think you should make threats about people in Congress.
you're
Anyhow,
gonna be
my
making a speech and
my
then-
campaign for mayor begins now.
Okay.
Here's what I'll do for you, the city of New York. One, I will learn about how drones work. I will tell you. I will be able to tell you. By the way, am I in this camera, the one that I was in originally? I just want to make sure. I will tell you if it's a drone or a CCTV camera. I'll be able to distinguish between those two things.
Okay.
That's my first promise to you. My second promise is that the skies of the city will be blacked out with swarms of drones that will be watching everything that you do at all times, and no sunlight shall break through my drone swarm,
No.
which will be on you like white on rice.
Mr. Polsky, I have a question.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Polsky, I have a question.
Yes. This guy's like reporter voice on.
Can,
You need a hat with like a press thing in it.
Can we get one of those really quick?
Can we from the
mock that
wardrobe?
up?
Go ahead.
So real quick, can a large drone give me a really big, large soda?
Well, I, of course, will allow all sizes of sodas, and I will actually have a law that there has to be more sugar in them, so people are, more awake. and ready for action.
See, you have an answer for everything.
Because of the drone swarms. You got to be on your toes when those things come. Oh, well, did I mention that my drones will be armed and they will also have claws?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be armed with guns as well as sharp claws.
And the drones will be making sure that you're drinking sugary drinks.
Some of the drones will actually deliver the sugary drinks to you. The citizenry of New York will be hand-delivered, drone-delivered, claw delivered, actually.
The claws will have little syringes. And they'll just inject the sugar
as they swoop down. Did I mention that the drones will be painted to look like weird hawks? They'll be have lots of extra metal on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be pretty
metal
cool.
wings.
Anyhow, that's the thing that I can promise to you that I will do as mayor of New York City.
Weird hawk drones.
Hawk drones that can kill and serve you a drink.
Yeah.
That blot out the sun, and that I can also tell you which one is a drone and which one is not a drone.
Hold on 1 second. So I just noticed something. I didn't see it before. Someone in the booth apparently did a Josh Topolsky for mayor banner while we were talking.
What?
That was
there we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. 2014 is going to be our year.
Yeah.
Also, free Wi-Fi everywhere in New York.
Oh, good.
Provided by drones.
Well,
there'll be a mesh network of drone.
You got to control the drone
based
somehow.
Wi-Fi.
God.
That's right.
DroneNet.
Yeah, DroneNet. I like that. Maybe you could be on the cabinet.
All right, I'll be your speechwriter.
Okay, sounds good. Great.
All right.
Well, I
So
think the Vergecast is done.
No,
What else?
we got one more. The iCloud.
Is Ellis here?
Ellis will
Did
be
you just
here.
say the iCloud?
The iCloud.
Yeah.
I
By the way,
read
that's what you
about
should
it
call
on the Google.
The drone system should be called the iCloud. Just to really
It's not bad.
step on
It's
Apple.
It's got a ring to it. What
Yeah.
are they going to do? They can't come here and fight me on that.
Right, because the drones will murder them.
That's right. Drones are impervious to copyright and patent law as well.
That's amazing.
I do know about drones. So wait, is Ellis Hamburger going to come in?
Ellis, we're going to play a clip. This is
This is a big setup, right?
the big setup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ellis did this great report this week on iCloud, how it just, it doesn't just work. So we're going to bring him in here.
You're saying iCloud should just work.
It should just work.
With quotes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it doesn't.
And then Ellis wrote a piece. He talked to a bunch of developers that, basically it doesn't. Here's what's wrong with it. So we have a clip. We have a clip from Steve Jobs introducing iCloud.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, I won't be here. I'll be gone. You'll never see me again.
Or you'll just be wearing an Ellis Hamburger suit.
Yes, I'll be wearing a hamburger suit.
Creepy.
Hamburgersuit.com.
All right. Can we roll the clip? I'm going to run away.
Hamburger suit.
And we call it iCloud. Now, iCloud stores your content in the cloud and wirelessly pushes it to all your devices. So it automatically uploads it, stores it, and automatically pushes it to all your other devices. But also, it's completely integrated with your apps. And so everything happens automatically, and there's nothing new to learn. It just all works. It just works. Now, you might ask, why should I believe them? They're the ones that brought me Mobile Me. It wasn't our finest hour. Let me just say that. But
Yeah.
So funny at the time. Oh, Ellis, by the way, here's Ellis Hamburger.
I just teleported right in.
Just teleported in place of Ross Miller. So obviously, Steve Jobs was very bullish about iCloud.
Why would you believe us? We're the ones who made mobile.
We're the ones who made mobile.
But we
Me.
figured it out this time.
And it's not that there's a different set of problems. It's not the same kind of consumer-facing problems that it ultimately ends up being a consumer-facing issue. But explain the issue with iCloud right now.
So the problem is Steve Jobs says it just works for everybody. And so people expect all their apps to tie in perfectly with iCloud. And 2 years later, customers are angry because their favorite apps haven't rolled out iCloud integration. Everybody's leaving bad reviews in the App Store, and these developers are upset. And I've been hearing so much over the last year saying, hey, if we want to do anything more complex than just syncing a list of files or to-dos, Apple's way to do it is horribly borked and just completely...
Do they actually use the phrase horribly borked?
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Make a great
they
t-shirt,
apparently
by the way.
totally blew it.
Yeah.
And
so
the problem-
developers are angry
Yeah.
about the implementation.
Yeah, and the problem is that Apple doesn't provide any support. Apparently, I've heard that they only have 4 guys working on core data, which is how Apple wants you to store your data in iCloud for complicated apps.
So we should be clear here. iCloud is a marketing term for consumers. Encompasses like 50 things.
Yeah.
Right. Everything from like you can re-download your songs on iTunes to when you put an app on your phone, it shows up on the iPad. And that stuff is like very simple. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people assume, hey, plug into iCloud.
Right.
It's as easy as adding some of these other iCloud features.
Right.
I make a change in my document on my phone and it automatically shows up over here in my iPad or on my Mac. That stuff doesn't work across any apps except really Apple's, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And which we can assume are augmented in some way. They're not just, this is not just, or built for whatever their exchange is.
And that's what I've heard is that a lot of the Apple apps, like let's say Keynote, are using the document-based syncing, just like a list of files with changes.
Right.
And that apparently works really well, especially as of the last couple months. But they don't use core data, which is for databases. And that's what a lot of developers were most looking forward to about iCloud.
Yeah.
And they don't even use it except for their Trailers app, which doesn't work too well.
I think it's interesting to see the juxtaposition between Google's strategy here and even Microsoft in some way, where they really are providing like this gateway, this it's not all in the background essentially. The data syncing is in the background, and ultimately you're syncing content back and forth between devices, but in many cases you're looking at web views where the data's in one place to begin with. You talk about Google's an obvious example, but on Drive or Google Docs,
right?
That data, when you open it up on your app on your Android phone, that data is, as far as I know, is some web view of the data that you're dealing with, and I don't know all the details of it, but there's not. It doesn't feel like there's this push-pull situation which happens with iCloud, which makes it, I think, more complex. Seems to make it more complex for developers to plug into. They're not saying like cook up a web view and that will be displayed in both places. They're saying exchange data back and forth between 3 different places.
Right.
Now take it from one platform up to the cloud down to another.
And so what's
platform.
interesting is I've been reading some of the follow-ups from Ellis's piece, and it's developers saying, well, A, this doesn't work, and B, what are the benefits of doing all this engineering work to lock myself into Apple's sync ecosystem?
Yeah.
Because what if I do want to build that web view? I can't do it with Apple's system. What if my app gets really popular and I want to go get the Android audience? Definitely can't do that with Apple's ecosystem.
Right.
So there's just like...
And it also means you can't use it from a buddy's computer who has an internet connection.
Well, it just seems like what Apple really wants to do is, or what they should be doing, is standardizing around some... I'm sorry, not standardizing, but using some standards, that pre-existing standards here, and opening that, saying like, hey, look, there's all this stuff available. Like in a way, like what they did with Safari and WebKit, where they're like, hey,
and so the
here's
parts
WebKit.
of iCloud where they do that work, right? So like the calendar syncing is CalDAV, so it works well.
Right.
The contact syncing is like CardDAV, right?
People also know how that stuff works. Those are open standards, and these are things that they couldn't be less transparent about. I mean, it took them a year to even offer sample code.
Do you think there's any? Is there any? Did you get any sense here that this is a competitive issue alongside being just a kind of technical issue or manpower issue? Like, is there something here where Apple's kind of like, hey, we don't want the not open office. What is the popular Office app?
Quick Office.
Quick Office. We don't want
Google
these guys to have the same kind of access that that Pages has or Numbers has. Do you sense that there's anything there, or is it really just a question of like they're not throwing enough manpower and they don't have their like technical side of stuff their ducks in a row there?
I think that's exactly it. I mean, they don't have their ducks in a row. They announced this as a feature. Steve Jobs said it's going to be easy to tie your apps in.
It's so weird.
And 2 years later, it just sucks.
It's kind of like FaceTime. So it's a little bit reminiscent of FaceTime when they made a big deal. I mean, I thought they made a pretty big deal at the FaceTime announcement when they're like, we're going to open this up. It's going to be a standard. If you want to make, somebody I think specifically asked somebody at Apple, if I want to make an Android app, I think they maybe Jobs even said it on stage.
It might have been Q&A.
Or Q&A or something. And it was like,
stay tuned.
It was like, no, it was like, if you want.
Yeah.
And then he probably, I'm sure, said something about how horrible Android is and, why would anybody do that? But the point is that it's like one of these things where Apple's saying like, hey, we're creating the standard and we're going to open it up to people and it's going to be easy to use because we're Apple and we know how to do this stuff. And they're not. I don't want to like beat them up any more than necessary, but I think for developers, this is becoming, the cloud. It's funny, and we've talked about this before where Jobs said, it's not just a hard drive in the sky. It's not just your files don't just go up and then come back down. But like weirdly, iCloud seems most like that out of all of the services that exist. It just seems like the least easy to plug into it as a real cloud as a real cloud service suite.
I mean, to this day, people are like, "What is iCloud?" I'm like, I don't know.
It is also vague. It's like iTunes Match is part of iCloud, right?
Yeah.
It's like my app
Alice,
stuff.
what is
part
iCloud?
Yeah, what is iCloud?
It's a marketing term.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty
but
much it.
to market what?
To market.
That's the question. Like, because
an automatic solution for music, movies, documents in the cloud.
Yeah,
right?
but
iTunes in the cloud.
I find like the photos thing totally daunting. It's so weird.
Actually, I will say PhotoStream works well.
PhotoStream works okay, but it requires that it does this thing where like you think that there would be a process somewhere that pops open every once in a while in the background and downloads your PhotoStream photos to iPhoto, but it doesn't. You can't see your PhotoStream photos until you open iPhoto and watch them download.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm so used now to I take pictures on my phone; they get automatically uploaded to Google Plus, which is Picasa, into a private folder, and they're just there when I'm done.
Yeah.
The process doesn't seem like there's much less of a seamless process.
Yeah.
And managing, you're like, what are these? Did I hit a limit? I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like it doesn't feel as cohesive as they sold it. And I think that like they're butting up against their kind of Apple's has had a lot of problems with the internet. I think Apple's bad
Apple
at the
doesn't
internet.
like the internet. They like their apps, and that's what one developer named Greg from Agile Tortoise told me. And
Agile Tortoise?
Agile Tortoise. They make that app Drafts. That's really great. And so what he said was, with Apple, there is no truth in the cloud like you find with Google. There's not like one server that holds all this stuff. It's trying to sync between the clients.
Yeah, he said that.
Right, and that hasn't been that
Right.
way. It's like if you want to send that stuff to Google, that's fine. But PhotoStream, for example, it's like they need to hold it for you and then push it down to this app effectively, which is a whole other challenge that they just haven't been able to do.
I think this is part of the untangling of I'm very interested to see what happens at WWDC because I think this will be part of it. I also think that just the untangling of interaction in the OS, in iOS, is one of the things that is like their biggest challenge right now. It's like, how do you untangle the interaction for an app developer when you want them to be able to, effectively move a file here or there, or move data here or there, or share something to another app, or open with another app, or do this kind of like the stuff that has become so weirdly fluid and easy on Android. When it's like, hey, you can do this with 3 different things. Which one do you want to do it with? Like, do you always want to use that app, or do you want to use something else? And it just like you just get into a flow of using
That's what some of these developers are telling me. They're like, that's one of the things about iOS is that all the apps are sandboxed.
Yeah.
There's not one file system you can really look at unless you're going to plug it into your computer or jailbreak. And that's something you get on Android that is, in a lot of ways, really nice.
I mean, I think that they, Apple had a lot of runway because they so very deeply revolutionized mobile computing, and now they've like, they kind of started way high up and have stayed there in that, but now stuff has risen and gone beyond it in terms of like ease of use and data portability, and I think that cross-system functionality.
Right.
I just made that term up, by the way. I'm pretty excited about it. And I think that now it's like time for them to meet those challenges.
That's definitely like a light in an 80s movie when you like turn on a robot and like cross-system functionality.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lights up.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the movie, it starts flickering.
Yeah.
And like the one leg falls off.
Something's wrong with the robot. It can't sing.
Oh my God, our cross-system
No, but I do think
failed.
that's one of the challenges I'd like to see them meet at WWDC or whenever they announce the next version of iOS. I mean, there does seem to be this like big ball of confusion from developers, from users,
I think they need to take some accountability.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been these developers, the way that they put it is we have to throw our bugs into the radar black hole, is what they say. And, these guys aren't brats. It's like, yeah, this is a free service, but they were all so geeked about it when Apple talked about it. Because syncing databases is really tough. I mean, you ever try and sync your iPhoto with Dropbox, your computer is purring until you shut iPhoto.
No, you want. I mean, it's good. Ostensibly, would be a good thing for developers for them to be able to easily plug into this. I have no doubt that that's the case, and I'm sure that this frustration. I mean, and what you wrote, I think you see that frustration is about, hey, you built something kind of half-assed. It's not really working, and
our customers expect it.
Yeah, and you promised it, and like, what's going on? I mean, that's totally reasonable to me. That seems like not unreasonable at all.
Yeah, and these guys really their only opportunity is at WWDC,
and Apple won't talk about it. I mean, Apple won't address it. I mean, Apple doesn't address stuff until it's absolutely the worst possible situation.
Right.
Until like you can type in a URL and steal someone's password.
Right. No, I mean it is, but it is like with stuff like AntennaGate. It was like had to get really to a fever pitch before Apple addressed it, and boy did they address it.
Well,
ish. I mean, they were like, we hear what
Here's
you're
a
saying.
bumper.
We hear what
Shut
you're
up.
saying. Have a free bumper. We were going to make a ton of money on these, and now a little bit less money.
and we're still going to make more money than ever before in our
but like the
history.
maps thing. I mean, like the maps. The maps one was a little rare but it did take an enormous amount of noise for Tim Cook to say, hey, we messed up. We could do better on maps. I don't know if that's happened yet. I used maps the other day, and it was not good.
It's not good.
It was not good. But anyhow, the internet data in the internet is like something that Apple needs definitely can be better.
Well, no, so
at.
here's my theory.
I don't
about-
get their internet
and I-
relationship.
I'm just going to keep saying this until it's not true anymore.
Please
But
do.
I think Apple, they made a little computer, and it's like the little computer they wanted to make, and they never wanted to have apps on it. And they, Steve Jobs' original idea was you'll
Web
run
apps.
some web apps and like don't worry about it, shut up. And it's like the App Store actually surprised them.
Did you
like,
really
in a
think?
way-
Do you really think their plan was not to have apps? See, I've talked. To
I mean,
people.
that's a line in the book, right? In the Walter Isaacson book, where he's like the board member from Genentech, who I want to call Arthur Clarke, because that's not his name. Whoever the board member from Genentech was like begging Steve Jobs to put apps on the iPhone.
I feel like there was always kind of maybe it was a skunkworks thing, or maybe it was just brewing kind of down in the background. But I can't imagine that the plan was to not do native apps for the.
Maybe not as fast as they did, but I think that's the thing.
Maybe
They're-
not third party
Yeah,
for a while.
maybe
Well.
in there because they're still catching up to the reality of what they made, which is it's not just a little computer, right? Like it's not a Mac
Well.
where I think it's actually really interesting that they've never made a Mac with an integrated data card in it. Like they've never been like, we're going to put the internet right in the damn thing. Right, we're never gonna. You can't buy a Mac with like a 4G modem in it or an LTE modem in it. You just can't do
you
it.
mean a MacBook?
Like a MacBook, yeah. But
I was very
any
confused
Mac,
about why you would want to have LTE in your like home computer.
why not? I mean, like,
I can think of why not, because
Right.
it's in your house.
Yeah, but like at the fine, whatever. But like,
Yes, accept that.
well,
No. I see what you're saying, though. No,
but
you're right.
they've never like integrated the internet into their products in that way.
I always took that as more of a not wanting to deal with carriers in any material way.
But they do with their other product. I think it's
With
just
the
interesting
iPhone.
that like they were like, we built a computer and here's our iPhone is a little computer.
Yeah.
And Google's like, we're building a platform that is like designed to put you on the internet.
I think that there was
It's
this
designed
idea.
to give you views.
I think
of the
there was
internet
this
at all
idea
times.
that like, hey, it's great for getting on the internet. It's great for getting it on the internet in your web browser. It's a really, really amazing mobile web browser. Still to this day, the best, I
Yeah.
think. Isn't that enough?
Yeah,
You can
like,
get on.
Shut up.
You can go look at web pages. All right.
I'm interested to see because Apple and Google have such different approaches. If you look at something like a Chromebook, it's like the opposite of
Yeah.
an iPhone. I
Yeah.
mean, you need the internet for everything. You're looking to the internet for everything, whereas Apple has thus far been very comfortable with these local apps
Yeah.
that
Right.
look outward.
I mean,
to the
I
internet, and
I think
it's
local
kind of outdated.
I think local app functionality is absolutely needed and necessary for a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff. I mean, but there has to be some material fluid data back end into the internet and off to what you like. If something doesn't sync for me, if it's data related, if it's not like a clear syncing situation, I mean, I'm bouncing back and forth between my phone and a tablet and my laptop all day long, depending on where I am and what I'm doing. And like to see the seamless syncing between something like Gmail, on Gmail particularly, when you see the seamless syncing where it's maybe a few seconds here or there,
Yeah.
but it's like what you do on the phone is absolutely related
Right.
to and part of what is happening when you're in your browser. That to me is the sense of confidence that it builds is huge. Same thing for Google Docs, and even Microsoft has gotten the message with this stuff. With a
Yeah.
lot of what they're doing.
I mean, they're running around like pimping their
their
Azure
new-
web services for iOS.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
new-
telling
right.
developers
No,
like
we're-
our data solution in the cloud is better than
No,
Apple's.
I just saw
and
an
you should
ad.
use it.
I just saw an ad that's like all about that kind of like cross-platform syncing, and it is they do kind of get it better,
Right.
And it's like Apple needs to take a hard look at itself here.
I think there's also some security too. I mean, you know that Gmail's going to have your stuff.
Yeah.
Even if your app goes.
I mean,
to
the
hell.
idea that
Even
I'm
if you
still
light your
the idea
Chromebook
that
on
on
fire.
the
Right,
idea that
right.
on a Mac there's still this management of contacts the way they do it seems so hopelessly outdated to me now. Like I never think about my contacts anymore. Google has gotten so good at just kind of like figuring out who I contact, like adding the things. I mean, I do hand add people,
Yeah.
when necessary, getting rid of duplicates, dealing with multiple email addresses and phone numbers. I never think about it anymore. The only time I ever think about it is if I ever have to open address book on my computer, which I sync to Google, and it creates all of these like annoying sync problems. And it's like, it really needs to just work more than it just works.
Well, I
now.
think Apple needs to become an internet company. And this is what this WWDC should be about.
Yeah.
Is they've been a very good computer company. They've been a really profitable computer company. I think the next stage of evolution in the computing industry is about the internet.
They've got to untangle the web.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. If you look at iCloud.com,
They've got to untangle the web, Ellis.
yeah. If you look at iCloud.com and you see the icons for those apps,
Yeah.
you're like, am I looking at the internet right now? Or,
No, they tried to
Yeah.
make iCloud feel and act and look like a desktop app.
Right.
And that's like the craziest mistake of all is that thinking that what's happening at this moment at least, what's happening inside of your browser should just be 100% the same as what happens on your native apps. I think look and feel is fine, but it shouldn't be all about like trying to trick people into thinking that they're using a native app. It should be like, what's best for that environment? What makes the most sense, And I think that that's a minor issue. That's a design issue. I have much less of an issue with their, it's funny, we were talking about this earlier, but people say Apple's design, there was an article in the Journal I think about them doing more flat design under Johnny Ive. And it's like, I'm not, the stitch leather is annoying and stupid and the stuff where it's like, the skeuomorphism.
it's not as killer as much as the
it's the
kind of
functionality.
ignorance about
It's the functionality.
No, there's
that's the
nothing
issue,
more frustrating, and this is it's Google's app on iOS, but there's nothing more frustrating to me than when I get a Gmail notification on my phone, and then I open Gmail and it just sits there loading.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know I can read half of this email in Notification Center, and I'm waiting for this app to
load it.
Yeah.
to
To
figure
load the
it
rest
out.
of it.
No,
It's
I mean,
why
it's-
didn't what?
It's not that the notifications look bad; it's that they interfere with the top of your display.
Well, this
It's
is like
not-
your number one pet.
Well,
peeve.
it's one that I find incredibly bizarre.
No, I just think it's crazy that the
incredibly
apps
bizarre.
don't know about their own notifications.
No, it's that, and it's also that's right, and also things like their sharing panel that they had created.
Yeah.
Yes, it is ugly, but what's more frustrating is that it doesn't share the way I want to.
Right.
It's like adding a photo to an email is still a ridiculously silly process.
Right.
It's not so much that your stuff looks bad. I think it looks fine. Honestly, keep it the way it looks. Make it work better.
Yeah.
Like make the function. And this is to the iCloud thing. It's like the apps look fine. The service is at a fundamental level has basically good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks fine. It just doesn't work the way you want it to
Right.
work. That it's the way it should work. Developers and customers. And I think that's a problem.
So what's the fix, Ellis? What do they got to do? And then we got to wrap up because we're.
What I'm
running
hearing
over.
from the
Yep.
developers is that one, they want some communication from Apple. Hey, are you guys actually fixing this, or is this something that you're kind of leaving over here if people want to use it and you're going to let it be? Or, and they're saying, well, if you're not doing anything, get rid of it. Get rid of it like you got rid of RSS or iWeb. Just leave it out of the picture, because if it's in the picture, our users will demand it.
right.
And or they could step it up and double their team. I mean, they have billions of dollars to hire another
Then, yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
another guy or two.
I think they get hired.
We've hired one guy. We're paying him $1
They get hired
billion
at
a year
least one.
to fix
He's really,
iCloud.
but he's really, really good at the internet.
And you know what? These developers, they love Apple, and they want this all to work so badly. And
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the support forums, it's a lot of people complaining, and it's a lot of developers helping fellow developers.
Yeah.
And they want to make it work.
Devs helping devs.
Devs on devs.
Look at how you use so much passion and emotion talking about these developers.
Well, because he's been hearing their pain.
No,
for
I
like a
know, and
week.
you can tell he really loves these guys. He really feels for their plight,
I do.
and I do through you. I also feel for them.
I feel for nothing.
Please help these guys, Apple. Just help them out. They're drowning.
Yeah.
You're shoveling water onto them.
And you know what's weird
No, I'm
to
kidding.
me
It's not
is
that bad, but
they don't treat the developers like they treat us, but it's something similar. It's something like, we can't really talk about that, or stay tuned or something like that.
Right.
And they get.
well, no, they're not going to share information with developers.
See, you'd think they might in a little way in terms of the underlying framework.
Having worked with Apple for many years, I would not think that they would share information with anybody.
Or just be like,
I mean,
hey,
they're they keep it, they like to keep it under lock and key till they're ready to talk about it.
right.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
you know,
understandable, but for developers, you would want a little more transparency, probably.
Right.
Do we have any other topics?
We're done.
That's it?
That's it.
Really?
Short show.
I feel like we should have at least one other thing to talk about. Didn't something else happen this week? Ellis, what else
It's a
happened
really
this week?
slow week in news, actually.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm just.
He's just been talking to
In the
developers.
iCloud, you know.
We're patiently waiting to sync.
Just waiting to see what happens, where you land up.
All right, that's what last week the drawing challenge was the sad Android at a crossroads.
Yeah.
This week I want sad Ellis in the iCloud, patiently waiting to sync.
Sad
God.
Ellis in the iCloud.
Patiently waiting to sync.
Patiently waiting to sync.
I can make a face.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's pretty good.
Well done, everyone. And that's
really
the
great.
Vergecast.
Really great. That's our Vergecast for this week. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at vergecast@theverge.com. You can leave a comment on the post when it goes up. Or you can find us on Twitter. The Verge is at Verge. I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless. At Joshua Topolsky. He's at Reckless. Ellis is at Hamburger, which is really the best Twitter name. I don't know how he got
The
it.
only reason I was hired.
Ross, who was on his Oh No Roscoe, no E on the end. Oh No Roscoe, no E. Yeah, that's the Vergecast for this week. Wow, that did not even pull that off remotely.
You got to stick the landing.
Top Shelf will be starting at 6 today.
Yeah, Top Shelf was supposed to follow us up at 5:30. Sorry, is that right? Yeah, at 5:30, but it's actually going to be at 6. But it will be live streamed, yes. Yep. And will be
Front
available
page.
on the front page of The Verge. And you should stick around for it because Top Shelf is awesome. Also, a lot of people have been asking, I'm just going to give you, a lot of people have been asking about On The Verge and whether it's dead or if it's coming back. It is coming back. I think that we're going to, I know that we're going to do, I think you're going to see more On The Verge soon. Somebody told me there's a new segment with Ryan Seacrest on like the Today Show
I
called
thought you'd just been doing it.
called
in
On The
your house.
Verge. I'm very upset about that. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, Seacrest. But anyhow, it's not gone. It is coming back in all sorts of new and exciting forms.
I really like that we're at the point in our careers where we feel comfortable just openly threatening Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, Seacrest is done for.
Yeah,
Hope
that's
you
good.
enjoyed your
I think
reign
we
of
really
terror
made it.
because it's about to end. Anyhow, that's the show. We'll be back next week.
Handsome Terror, the Ryan Seacrest story. I just want to get
And
that out there.
and as always, I wish you and your family the very, very best this weekend.
And may all your files sync the way that you would
Stealing
expect
the
them
end-
to.
stealing the end of the show
Dude,
here. Look at
hamburger
this guy.
in the face.
And you didn't even have a good closer. Boy, it makes me long for the days
Came
of Paul. I wish
Came
Paul
from
were
the
here.
heart.
Paul.
Came from
Paul.
the heart. Really
Goodbye,
did.
goodbye, hamburger.
You're cooked.